Hey, I'm Mike Baccarello, and today we're going to take a look at some really burnin' Western swing lines from Leon Rhodes. Let's take a look. Before we get started, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. That really helps the channel to grow. And if you're new here and you enjoy this sort of content, I release new jazz guitar lesson videos every single week, so please be sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you can stay up to date on my newest videos. And if you're interested in supporting me further, please consider checking out my Patreon, where I post PDFs for each and every one of my lesson videos, as well as a weekly jazz solo transcription. So for as little as $5 a month, you get access to over 100 lesson PDFs and over 100 solo transcriptions. There's a ton of stuff to practice over there. Now let's get started. If you're not familiar with who Leon Rhodes is, I highly recommend you check him out. He was a Western swing guitar player that played with the Texas Troubadours, and he did some stuff with Willie Nelson. He was an absolute monster of a player with incredible technique and amazing bebop vocabulary that he threw into these Western swing and country tunes. This line takes place over a 1-6-2-5 progression in the key of G major. So we have G major 7, E7, A7, D7, and we resolve back to G. We're going to look through each measure one at a time because each measure of this line is worthy of its own study. So over the G major 7, he starts with a B minor 7 arpeggio. B, D, F sharp, A. Now that F sharp and A serves as an enclosure to the root, which is where he goes next. So this whole arpeggio is sort of an enclosure. And once he lands on G, he plays the John Coltrane 1-2-3-5 pattern. G, A, B, D. Now this is a really colorful line for a major 7 that I think we should have under our fingers because it's incredibly melodic. And we should also study it in other positions. The second measure is over an E7, and he basically just plays an E7 arpeggio. But the way he starts it is really interesting. He starts on F sharp, and chromatically walks down to the root, and then he just plays the arpeggio from there. D, B, G sharp, E, D. And that D wants to resolve to the third of the next chord. So an E7 chord would typically go to an A of some sort. So we can go to A major and land on a C sharp, or A minor. And of course we could play that in different positions. Now this A7 line is one of those absolutely crucial building blocks of bebop we need to have under our fingers. I recently did a lesson on a Tal Farlow concept that's almost exactly like this, but we're going to talk about it again here because he plays it a little differently. I like to think of this concept as a 3-3 line. And the idea is we're starting on the third of a dominant, and we're playing our line, and we're landing on the third of the next chord. In this case, an A7 would want to go to a D. And we land on F sharp, which is the third of our D chord. And we can keep this line going. Now we land on B, which will land us on a G major 7. So this line is built starting on the third, then going to the fifth, which is E, flat 7th, which is G, and then our flat 9. So we're going up a diminished 7th arpeggio starting on the third. This is a really common thing you'll see Charlie Parker and every bebop hero do. Then we land on that B flat and we slide down to the root. And we go down to the flat 7 again. And we go to our fifth, which is E, and chromatically walk up to F sharp, which is the third of our next chord. Now you can finger that a bunch of different ways, and you should spend time messing with different fingerings because the more ways you can play this, the more ways you can work this into your playing. And you can keep this cycle going. So in that sequence, I went from A7, D7, G7, C7, F7, and landed on a B flat. This last measure is a simple arpeggio line over a D7 chord. So we're starting on F sharp, which is our third, and we're going up an F sharp minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio. F sharp, A, C, E. Now over a D7, that's our third, fifth, flat 7th, and our ninth. This is a really common substitute where you start on the third and you play a minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio. It gives you a dominant 9 sound. And from there, he jumps down to B and goes down G, E, E flat, and then resolves to G for the last chord. So I hope you enjoyed taking a look at that. Each measure of this line is worth analyzing on its own, and there's a ton of great substance here that you can use to add a really strong vocabulary to your playing. I'd recommend taking these lines through as many fingerings as you can and all 12 keys, and try to apply them to as many tunes as you can, because these are the sort of lines that are going to give our playing that classic bebop sound. So thanks for checking out today's lesson. Keep practicing. I'll see you next time.